enforcement officers are held to a higher standard, and in this case, the DA says the San Francisco Sheriff's Chief of Staff lied about a crash and ended up being an inmate in county jail behind it. Richard Jew, the San Francisco Sheriff's Chief of Staff, was charged Monday with hit and run and providing false information after a crash that totaled a parked Tesla. Authorities say the 65-year-old Jew was off duty and driving a city-owned vehicle when he ran into the Tesla near Diamond Heights Boulevard and Duncan Street back on March 4th. Investigators say Jew left the scene, waited 2 weeks to formally report it, and that when he did, falsely claimed he had been the victim of a hit and run in a parking lot. The DA says it wasn't until a day after that first report that he changed the story, saying he in fact had caused the crash and had left the scene without leaving a note. Jew's on leave from the sheriff's office, where he became chief of staff in 2020 during the pandemic. Before that, he spent 30 years with the San Francisco Police Department. He's also founder and past president of the San Francisco Asian Peace Officers Association. On Sunday, Jew was arrested and booked at county jail, the same facility run by his boss, Sheriff Paul Miyamoto. Jew quickly made bail that same day. Hello, Mr. Jew, Rich. On Monday, I went to Jew's home not far from the site of the crash, but no one answered the door. In a statement, the sheriff said the sheriff's office holds all members, regardless of rank or role, to the highest ethical and professional standards. We believe in the integrity of the judicial process and are committed to ensuring that anyone found guilty of criminal conduct, whether a member of our staff or the public, is held accountable.
So the public can be unforgiving on this?
Attorney Michael Raines represents law enforcement officers, but is not Jew's lawyer.
Sometimes the public says, well, okay, he's been a good officer in the past, but we should not allow an individual who engaged in this kind of conduct to continue to work in this profession.
Raines says Jew will also face scrutiny by the State Commission on Peace Officer Standards and Training. The commission could say,
yeah, it's only a misdemeanor, but we think that the conduct constituted serious misconduct and warrants decertification.
Now, Jew is set to be arraigned Thursday at the Hall of Justice. Live in San Francisco, Henry Lee, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
The chief of the Montague Police Department has confirmed the arrest of another officer. 22 News received information about the potential arrest of Officer Shauna Williams over the weekend. The chief told 22 News that the town is aware of the incident and is handling it as a personnel matter. 22 News also reached out to the Northwestern DA's office, but we have not heard back at this time. We will provide more details when they become available.
Good morning and welcome to the Bad Apple Report. It's 7:30 a.m. bright and early right here at home on the range. Thank you so much for being here today, folks. You know, I really appreciate it. I missed you guys yesterday. It's true. But man's got to eat. All right. But we're going to start it out talking about this cop, this Cerro Gordo County deputy arrested. And I had made it about a paragraph into this, and I started beating up the officer who arrived on the scene. But I mean, who names the officer that arrives on the scene? Okay, let's get on with it. A Cerro Gordo County Sheriff's deputy was arrested outside the 503 bar in Iowa Falls after surveillance video showed him allegedly grabbing a woman by the arm and punching her in the face with a closed fist. Lover boy. According to court documents obtained from Iowa Courts Online, Iowa Falls police officer Daniel Jekyll. See, I'd gone off on Jekyll. Tanned that hide. Anyways, he was called to a fight in progress at the bar on May 17th. Upon arrival, the victim said that John Wallace Crom III. Crom. I wonder if the whole family is known for not having necks. John Wallace Crom III, all three of them, age 50 of Mason City, had struck her in the face. Jekyll observed bruising on the left side of her face consistent with being struck in the face. Security footage from the bar supported her claim. Jekyll said that after talking with Crom, he admitted hitting the victim and said it was in self-defense. Oh, I wonder if she was trying to get her hands around his neck. Just kidding, you guys. Let's be serious. Didn't you guys miss me yesterday? Come on. Crom III was arrested and taken to Hardin County Jail in Eldora, where he was charged with 2 counts of assaulting, causing bodily injury and mental illness and disorderly conduct, fighting or violent behavior. He was released after waiving his initial court appearance and posting a $1,000 cash bond. Okay. Anyways, following a June 6th Zoom preliminary hearing, Crom submitted a written arraignment and pleaded not guilty. Pretrial conference has been set for July 24th, with a jury trial set for August 7th at the Hardin County Courthouse in Eldora. And a report from the blah, blah, blah in Mason City identifies Crom III as a deputy with the Cerro Gordo County Sheriff's Office, and said when contacted the agency, he said it is investigating and considers it a confidential personnel matter. Oh, Lordy. So what we know is the Cerro Gordo County Sheriff's Office is a bunch of goofballs. Knuckleheads, indeed. Assault causing bodily injury or mental illness is a serious misdemeanor, punishable by 1 year in jail, a fine of up to $430 to $2,560 on each count. Disorderly conduct, fighting, or violent behavior is a simple misdemeanor and carries a jail sentence of up to 30 days. You know this goofball is not going to have to pay anything. He ain't going to have to go to jail. He's your typical blue line thug with no neck. All right, now we're going to move on with the show.
Well, we start with that new body camera video of an officer slamming a handcuffed woman to the ground while inside the Ormond Beach Police Department. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Luann Sorrell.
Good evening. I'm Marlisa Goldsmith. That officer is now off the force and facing charges. Fox 35's Randy Hildreth is live at the police department tonight. Randy, what led up to that altercation?
Yeah, good evening to you both. We understand that it started with a DUI crash investigation, and the woman was brought to the police department. Throughout their interaction with this woman, the video that we're seeing for the first time appears to show the woman go back and forth with officers, but then it took a turn. Take a look.
This is the moment a DUI crash investigation by Ormond Beach Police turned into an investigation into one of their own. New video shows the moments former Ormond Beach police officer Jacob Cannon threw a woman down, causing her to slam into the chair and a wall before she hit the floor. He's since been charged with felony battery and resigned from the police department. An arrest affidavit details Cannon initially tried to give police and fire EMS a different story, noting he told other officers the woman, quote, jumped up and went to charge out the room. He allegedly told fire rescue she slipped.
Why am I being in here? Why? I want a reason on why.
Shanna McCree was arrested after investigators say she'd gotten into a crash and they believed she was driving under the influence. You can hear McCree insulting Cannon and the other officer as they prepared to give her the breathalyzer test. Instead of ignoring or de-escalating the situation, the video appears to show Cannon get physical. McCree suffered a gash to her forehead and required 7 sutures. Following the incident, the Ormond Beach Police Department released a statement apologizing to the woman and said in part, quote, this incident does not represent the way we police our community.
Cannon is expected in court in August. I'll send it back to you live tonight, Randy Hildreth, Fox 35 News.
This may be a tough pill to swallow, but I have to let you know that most police departments are like gangs. But the Antioch Police Department out in California, they're definitely a gang. That's my opinion. But I'm going to tell you a little story about one of them, this former Antioch police officer who's been sentenced to 7 years in prison over a canine deployment, and it says in the headline that he lies. What? No. Yes. Antioch, California, a federal judge sentenced a former Antioch police officer on Tuesday to 7 years in prison for sicking his canine on a man riding his bicycle without his light on, then falsifying records, engaging in a fraud to get a raise from the police department for a university degree that he paid someone else to get. That's a bad apple right there. The long sentence and 2 trials. His name is Morteza Amiri. Oh, Morteza. He was sentenced, and it was handed down by U.S. District Judge Jeffrey S. White, who presided over the 2 trials that resulted in Amiri's conviction of these crimes. White also ordered Amiri to spend 3 years on supervised release after getting out of prison and will have to pay $3,180 to the dog bite victim, $10,526 to the city of Antioch, and restitution. Oh, Morteza, Morteza. Okay, the East Bay Times, which has been at the forefront of the Antioch police scandal, reported that Amiri appeared to mouth, "I love you," to someone in the courtroom as the sentence was read. Oh, Morteza. It's one of the longest prison sentences handed down to an East Bay police officer for on-duty conduct in recent years. We need to make a habit out of that because they're all a bunch of gang members. They are. Following a 4-day trial in August 2024, a jury found Amiri, 34, guilty of 1 count of wire fraud and 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud in connection with the fraudulently obtained degree scheme. Psst. Oh, Lord. Following a second 8-day trial in March, a jury found Amiri guilty of 1 count of deprivation of rights under the color of law, 1 count of falsification of records in connection with the July 2019 arrest. Oh, so Amiri's a total liar too? A liar and a cheat. At that point, Amiri was remanded to the custody of the U.S. Marshals on March 18th, and he's been remanded in federal custody ever since. Oh, he can't watch the Bad Apple Report, Morteza. Quote, Amiri misused his police dog to inflict unnecessary and excessive force against a victim and cheated his way into pay raise. These crimes are appalling in themselves, but even more so that they were committed by a police officer. Oh, Lordy. FBI agent says, "Oh, Charles Sanjay Vermani, what are you, new?" Deploying K9 in violation of civil rights, Amiri, a K9 handler, deployed his police dog to bite even when it was not necessary and violated a citizen's rights, the prosecutors argued. And for example, on July 24th, 2019, Amiri pulled over and stopped the bicyclist, identified as AA, who, according to Amiri, didn't have his bicycle light on. Amiri approached AA, punched him, took him to the ground, and then called for his K9 to bite him. Okay, afterward, Amiri shared pictures of AA's wounds to other police officers. Okay, they do that. They all do that. Gang-banging losers is what they are. Okay, one officer responded, "Yeah, buddy, good boy," referring to the K9. "LOL, you bit AA," in response to a question of another officer's, something about the dog's face. Anyways, Amiri responded, "That's a piece of the suspect's flesh, LOL. Morteza, it's going to be a long, hard 7 years for you in jail, buddy. Possibly. I don't know for sure, but who knows? You know how California is. They might let your ass out. Anyways, Amiri later wrote to the officer who complained during a ride-along, "You got to see the K9 in action, LOL," and stated that to the detectives that he got a victim, a 45-day violation, and we're going to leave it at that, so we're not going to go to court. Okay, referring to AA going to custody for, okay, listen, there's so much more. There's, oh my Lord, it's all about his degree scam, more falsified reports. I mean, too much. What we know is he's a super bad apple, and he's sitting in jail. Like all bad apples should be. Okay, you guys are awesome. Let's move on.
Another former Albuquerque police officer admitted to his role in the DWI corruption scandal. Former APD officer Louis Henkel pled guilty to 1 count of conspiracy in federal court today. Henkel admitted to conspiring with former defense attorney Thomas Clear's office in 2020 to intentionally fail to appear in court for one of Clear's clients, who was in a relationship with another conspiring APD officer. Henkel says he was paid the equivalent of the overtime he would have made in court to not show up, and the case was dismissed. He joined APD in 2008 and worked in the DWI unit from 2017 to 2019. He was fired in 2021, unrelated to the DWI scheme. Former APD officers Henkel and former APD officer Daniel Carr were added to the district attorney's list of officers deemed no longer credible witnesses in court. Carr has not been charged. Henkel is now the 8th officer to plead guilty to his role in the scheme.
All right, we've got a sister city to Antioch, California out there. Not to offend anybody out there who is non-brainary and gets offended by the term sister city. Okay. This town of Danville, which is an awesome little town, activists rally against a convicted Danville police officer, and they're doing it because he's seeking early release from parole. Contra Costa County, California, activists rallied in front of the Contra Costa County Superior Court Thursday morning, concerned about a convicted cop who's a former Danville police officer. His name's Andrew Hall. He's allegedly seeking early release from parole. It says, quote, "Oh, it's very upsetting, very upsetting. We came here for court and they said, oh, something about the paperwork So we're coming back here August 7th again. Our system is broken, said Jennifer Leong, the sister of Latimer Arboleda. Okay, Leong says her brother was fatally shot by Hall during a mental health breakdown in 2018. Hall was convicted and sentenced to 6 years in prison. The family says Hall was supposed to spend at least 85% of his sentence behind bars, but Hall was released in March just after 3 years. California. Hall was in court on Thursday to petition for early release from parole. Quote, the objection, I mean, he's going to have freedom. Like I said, I feel like this is a danger to the community, Leong said. Hall's attorney did not respond to a request for the interview, but in an email, the Contra Costa District Attorney's Office wrote that Hall's eligible for relief under the penal code for convicted individuals who served on fire crews or a firehouse while in custody in state prison. Oh, okay. But the court did not receive the certified proof, so it moved the hearing until August. Oh, you got to prove that you were out there in the field there, buddy. And like a typical cop, he's probably lying about that. Allegedly. Who knows? Anyways, listen. What happened is Colin's son, Angelo Quinton, died at the hands of the Antioch police during a mental health breakdown in 2020. And Colin said he and other community activists can't find public records about Hall's parole hearing. He argues that it suggests ex-officer Hall is being given special treatment. They do that. We think he should still be in prison, as the judgment originally indicated, Collins said. I guess the next step, if they're successful, would be like to expunge his record and pretend it never happened. Alrighty, listen, there's a lot more to it, but that's all we need to know. He's a bad apple and he's on the loose. Let's move on with the show.
A bizarre game of chicken is behind the demotion of 2 Aurora firefighters who were behind the wheel of a fire engine.
The vehicle on the other end, an Aurora police cruiser. The firefighters are accused of forcing that police sergeant who was driving it right off the road. CBS Colorado investigator Brian Moss digging into this strange story.
The firefighters worked at Station 7 in southeast Aurora. Their behaviors have now cost them their ranks and thousands of dollars in lost salary. It all happened the night of February 25th. According to sources familiar with what happened, the police sergeant in his marked police vehicle was leaving these Aurora satellite yards out here, headed west on this access road, when a fire engine belonging to the Aurora Fire Department was coming east on this road. Sources say that the fire engine began shining spotlights into the police vehicle, blinding the driver, then heading straight at him, running the police cruiser off the road. The Aurora police sergeant, identified as Tony Spano, declined our request for an on-camera interview. But he apparently filed reports about what happened, and multiple sources familiar with the February events say a surveillance camera at a nearby water treatment plant recorded what happened. Disciplinary orders from last month from the Aurora Fire Department identify the fire truck driver as engineer Ryan Endley and his supervisor on the truck as Lieutenant John Cassessa, both riding in a rig like this one. The orders say the firefighters violated numerous department procedures. The disciplinary letters say both Cassessa and Endley admitted to engaging in the behaviors, which were called reckless. Supervisors say the firefighters did not provide a reasonable explanation for what they did, which created significant risks for their coworkers and Aurora police. Hi there, how are you?
How's it going?
Good. When we stopped by Station 7, other firefighters said Cassessa and Endley had already been transferred. Public records show neither firefighter faced criminal charges for what happened, and the city of Aurora denied our request for written reports, video, and dispatch tapes claiming they were personnel files. I'm Brian Moss, covering Colorado First.
Both Aurora firefighters were demoted in May. Both are appealing.
Aurora's Fire Chief Alec Ottens declined to be interviewed, but said in a written statement that he stands by the demotions and is eager to talk about what happened, but doesn't want to jeopardize the process.
Thank you so much for showing up today to watch the Bad Apple Report. You know I really appreciate you. And, you know, the one thing you know about me for sure is that I'm dependable. It's true. The one thing I know about you for sure is that you are dependable. And you're awesome. And I thank you for watching the Bad Apple Report with me. So we may have some sketchy days in the next weeks. But I will be thinking about you if I can't make it to pull the show off. But right after I get everything acclimated with all these projects that are going on and things, I will be right back to morning after morning after morning after morning. But for now, it's going to be as many mornings as I can muster. Thank you so much, and we'll see you hopefully tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. bright and early. Have a great day.
People go to church, he's in disguise, hiding the truth while he's telling lies. Up in the pulpit, down in the crowd, the devil goes to church where he shouldn't be allowed. Oh, 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 oh. So this is the